So in the never-ending GOAT conversation surrounding Mr. LeBron James and all this circular talk, which has been politicized through many generations of NBA players as well as fans. And in this segment right here, we're going to get a little bit more nuance into what exactly is LeBron James really the GOAT of. But first, we'll hear from four-time NBA champion John Salley as to why LeBron James really does not have more rings. And keep in mind, he's not just another old school legend that's talking shit. He was part of the bad boy Pistons, who really should have three-peated in between the eras of Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, as Isaiah Thomas got hurt in that game 6 of the NBA Finals going up against Magic Johnson, which they were up 3-2, but unfortunately his injury led to the Pistons losing the next 2 games. But in the following 2 seasons, they won back-to-back titles. So John Salley is not a player that's talking out of his ass when he makes certain statements. And again, we'll be breaking this down layer by layer after we hear from John Salley, as we'll go into details of why LeBron James is a GOAT, but it might not be for the reasons you think. But first, let's check out what he originally had to say about LeBron James before he was questioned on it.
LeBron doesn't have more championships because LeBron never played in a system that breeds championships. The triangle offense had Phil and Michael win 6 championships. They would have won 8 championships if Michael didn't go away.
Ain't that the truth?
Then to prove that point, they come to LA and he wins 5 championships with the same offense with a great player. But it's a system. They couldn't beat the triangle system. Then this guy named Steve Kerr goes and takes a version of it and wins 4 championships with it. It's a system. LeBron never had this triangle system. It was all put the weight on him, and anytime you put the weight on somebody without the system, they didn't win.
Spoken from a man with a lot of experience. Now, outside of him mentioning the triangle, because in today's game, there is alternate variations of that can be more modernized, as Steve Kerr has executed with the Golden State Warriors. But again, pertaining to LeBron James, there's a lot of truth what John Salley had to say, and you could see it play out no further than when LeBron had first arrived in Miami and the clash he had with Eric Spoelstra. You see, Pat Riley's the one that's really in command of what goes down in South Beach, and Eric Spoelstra was not going anywhere, regardless of the rebuttals that LeBron has had. And throughout LeBron's tenure in the NBA, we've seen him get rid of a lot of coaches. David Blatt after making the finals in his first year in Cleveland, and even Frank Vogel after winning an NBA championship. And LeBron being locked into a system as he was in South Beach is really where we've seen him have his most success, even to this day. But your favorite shot jacker Gilbert Arenas and his crew had questioned John Salley in his statements. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Still a winner, and I just think, I've been watching him, and I played against Magic, and I still have nightmares. I still, if I think basketball, I think about Kevin McHale and that, smelling like garlic on purpose type stuff. And Larry Bird just going, I still have those thoughts because I didn't sleep the night before, and then when you got to play, you're real sleepy, you take a nap, all this different stuff. When I think about LeBron, I think about how when you give him the ball and he's dribbling, all of a sudden everybody's just sagging because he knows he's going to pass it first. And he knows when he passes it to the guy, it's a 40%, 30% chance he's going to hit the shot.
And that exact scenario is what we seen in the 2014 NBA Finals going up against the Spurs. And also, this played out a lot during that 2017 and 2018 NBA Finals, in which LeBron had a decent enough team to at least compete and not get swept in pretty much both of those finals. One of them was a gentleman's sweep, but the Cavs had a lot of serviceable players on those teams that were not really being utilized. And even when they had a stacked team in the 2016 NBA Finals, in which they made a comeback to win the series in 7, a series in which Vegas had them as the favorites, even going up against the Golden State Warrior team that was legendary with their regular season record, that didn't matter. The Cavs were still the favorites. And even with that team, they struggled in the beginning of that series. They had no business even struggling as much as they did. But again, that's what happens when LeBron really plays no different from when he first came into the league all the way up until now, where he handles the ball nonstop in the perimeter and he really just goes down the lane. Nowadays, he bulldozes guys, but he used to just be fast enough to go downhill and then he'll kick out to some shooters.
In the triangle, LeBron passed that ball and run off second guard option. Now, you have to stay on LeBron. He just keeps opening, and then when they adjust, then he scores.
Yep.
When they adjust back, that guy scores. And you put in those positions to do it. It's to the next man. You help the next man, the next man. And that's what I meant by he didn't have a system. They even get down to the coaches where the coaches will go. Remember when Michael first time, they gave him the ball and Phil was like, my job was give Michael the ball and everybody get out of the way?
Now that right there is what a lot of old school heads that love the NBA never tend to talk about. MJ used to play just like Russell Westbrook, where he was doing him and he was not utilizing his teammates. But after a certain time, Phil Jackson approached Michael Jordan after he let him cook for a little bit, and he told him if he wants to get up to the next level, he's gonna have to trust and utilize his teammates. So his scoring averages started to go down and the team began to have a lot more success. And after that, Jordan pretty much never looked back. But when you look at LeBron James, it's almost as if the polar opposite happened. The same way he played when he first came into the league, it kind of settled down a little bit when he went to Miami, but then when he went back to Cleveland and he had all that power and didn't have to be under Pat Riley, he went back into just operating in his own system. And that's why he still has the numbers that he has even at the age of 40, where he's averaging 20 plus with almost 8 assists and 8 rebounds, because he has the ball in his hands nonstop. That's why the list of players continue to grow who always had issues playing with him. D'Angelo Russell, Kyrie Irving, Jay Crowder, Rodney Hood, even Dwayne Wade in the first year in Miami had to admit that he had to take a step back and give LeBron the keys because it just wasn't going to work with him kind of still getting into his bag. And he kind of went through the same issue when he went to play with LeBron in Cleveland. We seen the fallout and Dwayne Wade was shipped right back to Miami.
That's why he didn't beat us anymore, because we knew he couldn't push Joe Dumars. He was going to get smacked coming in the lane. We didn't care that the NBA had an agenda for the Messiah. We were the Romans. Crucify him. Yeah. And that was the mentality.
You see right there, Michael Jordan was now predictable. That's really what he's saying. LeBron James at times is predictable when he plays against teams that kind of have a team-oriented defense and concept, like the San Antonio Spurs in 2014 and in 2013, because he barely won that championship had it not been for Ray Allen rescue three-point shot. But when you look at how the Golden State Warriors play as a team unit, LeBron James always struggles going up against teams like this. And even in his first NBA Finals, which to a degree I always give him credit for even making the finals at that young age, especially with that team, the exact scenario John Salley is talking about right here got exposed, which one player cannot outdo 5 to 6 to 7 players on a team where everybody's defensively in sync. It's just not going to work. You got to have a system.
It's what I think about when I watch the game now. When I watch now, I watch Denver just run out of gas, seriously run out of gas. There was nobody on the squad to kick them in the ass, nothing for them to go, all right, let's go to sequence one. Sequence one and build it back up to sequence. I just don't think that's happening anymore.
With LeBron, there is no other sequence outside of him facilitating the ball. It's rare that we see him catch and shoot off ball, set screens. That was really never, I don't want to say his type of game, but just he's never really been asked to do the dirty work like that. And throughout his career, even though a lot of guys stay quiet, there's been a few players that have come out and actually expressed that after being traded from a team with LeBron James, they actually feel more free and they love playing within a system. Just recently, D'Angelo Russell, after being traded back to the Brooklyn Nets, had said in the first post game, "I'll never take being able to play free basketball like this for granted again." Even Jay Crowder, after his first game playing for the Jazz, after being traded from the Cavs, he had a lot of interesting things to say in his post-game presser.
Well, Jay, you said you were looking forward to this moment. It was God's plan. How do you describe your debut as a Jazz man?
Unbelievable. These guys have welcomed me since I walked through the door. And playing on the court with them is very, very, very fun, man. I got back to having fun playing basketball. Man, with a great group of guys. It couldn't happen no better.
What about this system allows you to be so comfortable like you were tonight?
Well, we're playing off one another, man. Once I get better with these guys, it should get better. But we're playing free. Coach gives a lot of freedom to these guys. Some structure, but a lot of freedom, and I love it. I love playing with them. I love playing within the system. It'll be fun.
He loves playing in the system. I feel him on that. But even check out Isaiah Thomas of the Boston Celtics when he got traded to the Cavs. And then, of course, LeBron shipped him out to LA. And he had some interesting choice words in the post-game presser in regards to his sentiment.
Surprised to play that many minutes?
Nah, I could play in this league. I'm glad he gave me the opportunity, but I told him I have no restrictions. I'm able to play, and he gave me the opportunity. Yeah, I just wanted to come in with energy. I just wanted to bring something to the table. Felt like I got my powers back playing on this team now, so I just wanted to bring that energy, bring that intensity, and make plays, and then the ball happened to go in.
My man IT got his superpowers back. Very interesting. But again, we even seen a former MVP in Russell Westbrook be withered down to basically nothing. Almost his reputation just dragged through the mud playing alongside LeBron. So, you know, the growing narrative really started by Brian Windhorst saying that LeBron was an ideal person to play with. Like, people aspired to play alongside with him because it was so easy. That narrative nowadays is just, we've seen way too much evidence of it. And in a way, it's held LeBron back. He's almost the Anakin Skywalker of all the NBA legends. Definitely has all the raw talent, superpowers. Is that he just couldn't get over, I don't want to say himself, and just self-inflicted wounds really prevented him from getting to his potential, which is multiple NBA championships. Shit, this guy possibly could have had 8 rings by now. Just imagine if he played for a coach like Popovich or even stayed in Miami. But LeBron is a player who loves to take control of his destiny. And that's why I say he is a GOAT, but it's not necessarily on the court, but in the game of life. You see, LeBron has shifted a lot of paradigms in the NBA. Even in the sports world, we're used to seeing athletes have crews and entourages in which they don't really operate as an entity, as a business. But LeBron James has things almost set up in a way where his friends are almost as big as a mogul as he is. When you hear Rich Paul signs a certain client, it's a big deal. It gets a lot of media headlines. They don't even have to mention LeBron. Same thing for any venture that Maverick Carter is on. LeBron using that Jay-Z blueprint where you can have friends that stand next to you and be just as strong. In case one of you fall, you could be each other's crutches. And that mindset really started at a young age. LeBron has been on this path for a very long time. It's not just about making a ton of money and being successful. He's laying down the blueprint and actually has executed on how NBA players or just athletes in general should move while they're playing in these leagues. They should see themselves as an entity. And this paradigm shift has actually changed so much that now every player is taking control of their destiny. It's pretty much a norm in the NBA now that players are not necessarily going to stay loyal to a city until a franchise ships them off when they don't need them anymore. Now they're going to stay loyal to themselves and view themselves as a business entity. And LeBron James gave some great insight to this as he sat down with Travis Kelce and they had a conversation of how he dealt with so many sponsors and companies coming at him at a very young age. But peep the mindset that he had.
Was it always Nike?
Trav, no, it was not. It was not always Nike. It was Nike when I was a young kid, when I was a young lad. Obviously, you know, I've been in love with Michael Jordan my whole life. So,
Come on now.
You know, I saw him, Penny Hardaway, you know, Ken Griffey Jr., Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
I watched all these unbelievable sports figures. So as a kid growing up, it was Nike. Once I got into the AAU program, started playing basketball, Adidas took us over, you know, and it became Adidas. It was Adidas like from 7th, 8th grade to pretty much my junior, senior year. They sponsored us every year. We played in all the Adidas tournaments, big time tournament in Vegas and all over the United States of America. So it was Adidas. And then my senior year, the process began. The recruitments, the Nikes came in, and Adidas was still there. Reebok came in, and won. All these companies came in, and I took on 3 pitches. I did an Adidas pitch, I did a Reebok pitch, I did a Nike pitch. The best pitch that I got, where I thought I was going to end up, was actually Reebok at one point.
Reebok.
I went to their meeting. And I sat down across from their CEO and the guys that was running basketball. At the time, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Reebok had the NFL as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what it was when I first got into the league.
Yeah, they had the NFL as well. So they knew my love. They knew my love for football as well. So they had all the NFL jerseys, all the Pro Bowl looking jerseys that was going to be the next year. And I'm sitting across from the table. I'm a senior in high school. I'm going back to class the next day. They flew me in. I'm going back to St. Vincent St. Mary the next day, my senior year. And the guy slides over a check to me at the end of the table. It's me and my mom and Maverick Carter at the end of the table. And he says, if you don't go talk to any other companies, this is yours. And I look at it.
This sounds exactly like how NIL works today. A lot of these athletic companies are locking in players really early at a discounted rate. If any of them pop off, they got them for the cheap, for the very, very low price. Something that really doesn't get talked about too often. But again, it is life-changing money. But LeBron James is going to show you his mindset right here.
$10 million fucking dollars.
Oh!
10 million.
Just right there, as an 18-year-old, I was still stealing change out of my dad's fucking piggy bank to go get some candy and shit.
I was a high school senior, man. They gave me a check for $10 million, and if I promised not to go see anybody else, I told them I need a break. They stepped out. I need to fucking break.
I can't believe that. Right.
I sat there.
I need a timeout.
My mom looked at it, and me and my mom were living in an apartment, and Section 8 housing in Akron. I'm going back. I don't have shit.
Now, interesting, LeBron had mentioned that his mother was there along with him. He was a senior in high school. He was 18 already. The reason why I bring that up, because he was old enough to, go through that meeting himself. He was of legal age to sign any type of contracts without his mother. But they probably wanted him to bring his mother there because they understand the psychological kind of emotional attachment that his mother possibly has to security. Companies like these already know their financial situation. So it's not necessarily having him to say no to a $10 million check by himself, but he has to say no in front of his mother, which makes it even harder because there's so much emotional attachment to that security. It goes to show you LeBron James's mindset. Even with all that pressure, life-changing money at that very moment in his life, he still looked at the bigger picture.
And my mom looked at me. She said, son, trust your gut. If they're offering you this, then who knows what the other companies may offer you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mom.
Yeah, Ma.
She's composed.
Yeah, she's super composed. She's like, we ain't got shit already. So it's not like, it changes our life at this moment. Yes, maybe in the future, but I want you to trust your gut and do what you think is right.
That's awesome advice, man.
So they came back in, boom. I said, thank you. I would definitely like to continue our conversation, but I would be remiss if I did not take those other pitches from the other companies. I may have cried on the way home because I had to leave that
You're questioning. Man, I hope I just made the right decision.
I was like, I could have bought the building that me and my mom was living in with that goddamn money.
What? Easily. You already know.
LeBron James, I gotta say, he already saw himself as an entity. The fact that he had any reservations already, just seeing that $10 million check, he already had reservations because at the end of the day, from the moves we've seen him make, just putting Maverick Carter in position, putting Rich Paul at a learning position at Nike as soon as he got in there. See, he didn't just take an equity deal. He took a deal where his friends can get trained up on the business side of sports. And that's why they sit where they sit today. It's crazy to think at age 18, this guy already thought of himself as an entity. He just wasn't looking at basketball. And this is what makes LeBron James the GOAT. He's showing people who come from his circumstance, or they don't even have to come from his circumstance. He's just showing young people how to move in life. And that's what he's the GOAT of. Like I said before, he's kind of gotten rid of that athletes rolling around with the entourage. Now we see athletes kind of starting their own media companies. They view themselves as an entity. They're taking their training and the way they approach the game more serious. Dwayne Wade gave us insight on LeBron James' approach on the nutritional habits that he had in Miami. He was already preserving his body to make a long run. And now we see other players spending millions of dollars on themselves and their bodies to keep up the maintenance. That's why I say LeBron James is the GOAT outside of basketball. He's showing these guys how to move in life, how to invest in themselves, how to set things up, in which we're even hearing Maverick Carter starting a international basketball league with sovereign money, possibly from the Middle East. And it doesn't sound crazy because he already put his friends in position. Never have we seen an NBA player, not even an athlete, move in ways like this before. Make no mistake about it, the NBA owners, they've noticed. LeBron James views himself as an entity. He understands that when he went back to Cleveland after leaving Miami, the net worth of that team jumped up by $500 million. So he was already up on game on how to leverage his presence in other ways to not only work in his advantage, but everyone around him. So to Mr. James, hey, we got to salute that.